Welcome to the Health Force product training on Nopal blood sugar. So I want to preface discussion about Nopal blood sugar with a little bit of information about the standard American diet and specifically the high sugar content of the standard American diet. So Americans really eat way too much processed food, and processed foods are usually carbohydrate foods that have had the fiber removed. Things like white bread, white rice, and white pasta, for example. And oftentimes these refined carbohydrates have sugars added. You end up with things like pastries, cookies, pies, and then you also have foods like some sort of wouldn't call it a food, but things like soft drinks, candies, table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, concentrated fruit juice, etc., etc. This really goes on and on. Modern humans consume massive amounts of sugar compared to our ancestors. I mean, you look back to the hunter-gatherer cultures that roamed the planet like 10,000 years ago, these folks really didn't eat any sugar. I mean, they never spiked their blood sugar at all. Maybe every 6 months they'd find a beehive and eat some honey and get a little blood sugar spike, but that was about it. The thing with modern humans eating all these types of foods, these foods break down into sugar very quickly, or they're already sugar. And so when we eat these sorts of things, our blood sugar spikes dramatically. We get this big blood sugar spike, and that has all sorts of negative consequences. Our bodies have really not adapted to this way of eating. And one of the consequences to these blood sugar spikes is our pancreas is overworked. Typically when you get a big blood sugar spike, your pancreas kind of overreacts. It ends up secreting too much insulin. Insulin is a hormone whose job it is to escort the sugar that's in your blood into your cells, so your cells can burn that sugar for energy. But when you get a big blood sugar spike, your pancreas typically will overreact, produce too much insulin. And what happens then is that insulin, a couple hours later, ends up creating too much sugar entering your cells, and you end up with low blood sugar after a couple hours, which is known as hypoglycemia or reactive hypoglycemia. And when you get hypoglycemic, you start to feel hungry because your body doesn't like low blood sugar. Your brain runs on sugar, for example, and if your brain doesn't have enough sugar because you got low blood sugar, then it will tell your stomach to start creating hunger pangs, so you eat again and get your blood sugar back up so it can get more food. So Americans live this way. They basically, eat a super glycemic breakfast, maybe oatmeal with a bunch of sugar in it, and then by 10 o'clock their blood sugar is crashing, and they go back to their 10 o'clock break, eat a Snickers bar, maybe have a cup of coffee, which spikes their blood sugar again. By noon, their blood sugar is crashing, and on it goes. They just roll with this hypoglycemic roller coaster all day long. And these types of folks have a lot of negative symptoms as a result of this. They get a lot of brain symptoms like headaches and confusion and grumpiness, which are a result of low blood sugar affecting brain health. They can get shaky, which is a consequence of the adrenal glands secreting stress hormones to try to bring your blood sugar back up, things like adrenaline. They can feel hungry frequently, confusion, dizziness, and on it goes. And high blood sugar has all sorts of other consequences as well in the body, which are very negative, which we'll talk about as this training goes on. But if you're on this hypoglycemic roller coaster, that has some other effects on, for example, I mentioned your adrenal glands. Your adrenals, when your blood sugar is low, your brain's panicking. It's not only telling your stomach to eat so you feel hungry, it also fires up your adrenal glands, gets your adrenals to secrete stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And these tend to mobilize body tissues like proteins and fats to be broken down into sugar to bring that blood sugar back up. So if you're running on this hypoglycemia roller coaster all day long, then your adrenal glands are working really hard. They're constantly secreting stress hormones, and you can really tell when you're in the midst of that, you start to get shaky. That's a consequence of adrenaline basically flowing through your veins because your adrenals are working hard because you're having a low blood sugar moment. So your adrenals can get stressed. Adrenal fatigue is a consequence of being on a hypoglycemic roller coaster for a long period of time, months, years. Some people live this way for a long period of time. And adrenal fatigue is the result, and that is not a good place to be. If your adrenals are fatigued, you got no energy. You're fatigued almost all the time. It's, you're almost non-functional as your adrenals really start to crash big time. Another thing that can happen is something called insulin resistance. This is the beginning of what's called metabolic syndrome and also eventually diabetes when this begins. And this is really a consequence of the fact that your pancreas is constantly secreting high amounts of insulin to deal with these highly glycemic meals that you're eating. And when that's the case, your cells start to slowly lose their sensitivity to insulin. It's like insulin's constantly banging on the door of your cells, telling them to open the door to let in the sugar, and eventually your cells stop answering the door. They get tired of somebody banging on the door all the time, and insulin slowly starts to lose its effectiveness in your body. And that's definitely not a good place to be, because then you have high blood sugar 24/7. And high blood sugar is disastrous to body tissues. Sugar basically is very sticky. If you've ever touched a sugary pastry or something, you notice how sticky that is. Well, that sugar sticks to all sorts of cells in your body and damages and destroys them. So you get these glycation end products, they're called. It's a result of sugar sticking to all your cells and basically killing them over time. So you don't want that high blood sugar to be going on. And this is what happens when you get insulin resistance. When you have insulin resistance, you've also got a lot of insulin because your insulin doesn't work. And so your pancreas is constantly trying to secrete more insulin to try to get that sugar out of your blood. And insulin, when you get that high insulin, hyperinsulinemia, you've got high levels of insulin, and insulin blocks other hormones from working properly. So now you've got all this insulin in your blood that prevents all of the other hormones in your body from really working properly, and you end up with lots of hormonal imbalances. And this all leads to a potential situation of diabetes, because eventually your pancreas starts to get exhausted. You've secreted so much insulin because you're constantly spiking your blood sugar. Your pancreas starts to get worn out and eventually starts to lose its ability to secrete insulin at all, and now you've got type 2 diabetes. So let's discuss Nopal blood sugar now in this context. Nopal blood sugar is a supplement that contains only one ingredient, Nopal cactus. Nopal cactus is also known as prickly pear cactus. You see it here. These little red things are the fruits. This particular supplement is made up of the green leaf of the Nopal cactus. Basically, it's dehydrated prickly pear cactus leaf. And this particular plant is native to the Sonoran Desert in Mexico, and it's been used as a food and health tonic since the times of many indigenous civilizations in this area. The Toltecs, the Olmecs, and the Aztecs. So this particular supplement is the nopal cactus, very rich in fiber, also rich in micronutrients like antioxidants, minerals, vitamins, and various phytonutrients. Health Force Nopal blood sugar is wild crafted. This Nopal is actually wild crafted. It's tested to assure true organic status, which means it's tested for 292 pesticides, for GMOs and irradiation, and tested to be zero detectable levels of all those contaminants in this product. And we package this the supplement in our EcoFresh Nutrient Lock packaging, the glass bottle with a metal lid and a rubber seal. So this supplement, the serving size is recommended 6 vegan caps, and that gets you 3 grams of nopal cactus. And the recommended serving is designed to be consumed with a meal or with food. And this will help you deal with the high glycemic nature of any meal you eat. We'll talk a little bit about how that works here in the next slide. But basically, this product is designed to be consumed with food. Now, this is not to say you should just ignore your diet and continue on with the sad diet, eating a bunch of sugar, and just take nopal blood sugar as a way to mitigate all the disastrous effects of the high glycemic diet that you're eating. No supplement is going to be able to completely remove all the negative effects of a high glycemic diet. So really, ultimately, Nopal blood sugar is great support for us to reduce the glycemic nature of our diet, but ultimately it's important to really improve the diet over the long haul so that you avoid all the potential negative benefits, or I'm sorry, negative side effects of a high glycemic diet. Now that said, consuming nopal cactus is a highly beneficial thing to do, and it really dramatically helps one mitigate some of these disastrous side effects of consuming a high glycemic diet. First of all, there's a high amount of pectin and mucilaginous fiber and even other types of fibers in nopal cactus. And this myriad of different types of fibers really releases food sugars into the bloodstream, time releases food sugars into the bloodstream. And that really helps support a better blood sugar balance. So if you eat a meal that breaks down into sugar very quickly and take nopal cactus with it, that sugar is going to be time released into your bloodstream. So instead of getting a big blood sugar spike, the sugar content coming into the bloodstream will be significantly reduced and spread out over a longer time period, which will really help your body deal with it much more effectively. Consuming nopal cactus also improves your immune function by supporting blood sugar balance. When you got a lot of sugar in your blood, sugar is very similar structurally to vitamin C. The white blood cells of your immune system really have vitamin C receptors, and when vitamin C locks into the receptors in the white blood cells of your immune system, those white blood cells function more effectively. And sugar being so similar structurally to vitamin C will also lock in those receptors in your white blood cells. And then when your white blood cell vitamin C receptors are full of sugar, they can't get any vitamin C, so they can't really work very well. And this is one of the ways that high glycemic diets really suppress the immune system. Another way they do it is because when you're on that hypoglycemic roller coaster that we talked about, your blood sugar crashes frequently. And when your blood sugar's crashed, your adrenal glands come online and secrete all those stress hormones. Well, when you got stress hormones in your blood, one of the things stress hormones do is they suppress your immune system. So through a multiple pathways, high sugar consumption supports immune function, and because nopal is effective at really reducing the blood sugar spike you get from food, it's very beneficial for immune function. Nopal also has some great antioxidants that help reduce tissue damage and inflammation. That's also very supportive for your immune system. Nopal supports adrenal gland function by promoting stable blood sugar levels. If you don't get that hypoglycemia, low blood sugar moment, your adrenal glands don't have to start working and secreting stress hormones to try to bring your blood sugar up. So that really preserves the vitality of your adrenal glands. Nopal also supports the function of the pancreas. Remember, the pancreas has to work really hard when you spike your blood sugar. So since Nopal really helps prevent that blood sugar spike, or at least calms it down to some extent, the pancreas doesn't have to work so hard. So the pancreas vitality is supported as well. Nopal also supports electrolyte balance. People with blood sugar issues who are eating a lot of sugar typically have electrolyte balance issues because they've got kidney issues. This high sugar diet really damages all the little filtering mechanisms in your kidneys over time, and your kidneys are really what's responsible for maintaining electrolyte balance in your body, at least one of the main thing that's responsible for that. And so as the kidneys function starts to decline, the electrolyte balance starts to go, and that leads to all sorts of problems. So Nopal can really help mitigate all this by helping to keep the blood sugar more stable over time. Nopal also helps to maintain a sense of fullness after meals because it curbs the hypoglycemia-driven food cravings. Your blood sugar stays more stable. You don't get these food cravings as a result of that, and you don't necessarily have to eat as much, which is a really nice benefit. Nopal also supports healthy triglyceride levels by slowing down the conversion of blood sugar into fat. If you've got more sugar in your blood than your cells can burn for energy, then your body's got to turn that into fat. And then you get a lot of triglycerides running around in your blood, which is correlated with heart conditions. And so Nopal, because it sort of tones down the blood sugar spike and spreads it out over a longer time period, more of that sugar can be burned for energy and less has to be turned into fat. Nopal helps support normal cholesterol levels, a variety of mechanisms that it helps do this. All the fiber in Nopal helps to bind cholesterol in the intestinal tract so it doesn't get reabsorbed into the bloodstream. You get a lot of cholesterol leaving the body via the bile fluids through the liver and gallbladder, getting dumped into the intestinal tract, and then that cholesterol gets carried out of the body via bowel movement. Well, if you don't have any fiber in your diet, then the cholesterol doesn't get bound up with fiber into a stool. Instead, it can be reabsorbed into your blood. So Nepal really provides a lot of great fiber to help bind up that cholesterol so it doesn't get reabsorbed. Um, and Nepal also just helps support liver function through a variety of different mechanisms. And as your liver function normalizes, your cholesterol levels will normalize as well. Nepal, with all the antioxidants in it, helps support reduced inflammation in your body. And high inflammatory states are associated with imbalanced cholesterol profiles, where you have a lot of bad cholesterol and not enough good cholesterol. Um, so Nopal helps balance out that cholesterol profile by reducing inflammation with all these antioxidants. It's got a lot of different types of antioxidants in it, and these antioxidants really support the tissues and the function of many body organs, such as the heart, liver, joints, brain, and our arteries. Betalains are one of the types of antioxidants in Nopal that really help to support liver function. Liver really is dependent on the antioxidants to stay healthy. So the betalains are very effective at supporting our liver in that way. And another thing that's nice about the mucilaginous fiber in Nopal is that it really helps to coat and soothe both the stomach and the intestinal lining, helping to reduce inflammation in those areas and therefore helping to protect the integrity of the tissues which line these organs, which is, of course, very important for proper nutrient absorption and proper digestion. A few more benefits of consuming Nopal cactus here. First, the soluble fiber in Nopal really helps feed friendly bacteria. Friendly bacteria love soluble fiber, and therefore Nopal consumption helps to improve the health of your intestinal ecology. It also helps to absorb and therefore eliminate toxins which are floating around in your colon, which may be secreted by unfriendly bacteria, for example. And as a result of this, as a result of your intestinal ecology improving, the number of toxins entering your bloodstream from your intestinal tract decline. Really, a lot of people have a lot of unfriendly bacteria in their gut, and these unfriendly bacteria, the reason they're unfriendly is they produce all sorts of toxins that we then absorb into our bloodstream. And our liver then has to deal with these toxins because one of the jobs our liver has is to clean our blood of toxins. So by improving your intestinal ecology and binding with these toxins which are in your colon so that they can't be absorbed into your bloodstream, Nopal really decreases the liver's load, the amount of work the liver has to do to detoxify your blood. And that really supports immune function and your liver. The insoluble fibers in Nepal cactus really provide the roughage, which helps to cleanse our colon, sort of sweeping through our colon like a broom. And this roughage also provides something for the intestinal muscles to work on, which helps improve our regularity. So lots of great fiber in Nepal cactus that have some great benefits. And because Nepal really time releases nutrients into our bloodstream, not just sugar, but any nutrients you consume it with, it really supports the digestion and absorption of whatever foods and supplements it's consumed with. And closing up now with just a little bit of product use information. We only have one size of this product, a 180 capsule bottle at this time. The suggested use is to take 3 to 6 capsules with a meal, and the more glycemic your meal is, the more capsules you want to take with that meal. And then you can certainly take just put the capsules in your mouth and consume some liquid to swallow them, or they can be opened up and mixed into smoothies for maximum effects. But if you do that, just know that Nopal cactus is somewhat bitter, so you don't want to put so many capsules in your smoothie that it becomes unpalatable. So that's really all I have for you on Nopal blood sugar. Hope you learned some useful information and hope you enjoy using this product to improve your blood sugar stability.